Let's start with a classic. The ancient Egyptians could not have built the pyramids because it is physically impossible. Proponents of this theory point to the multi-ton blocks, weighing 20 to 30 tons, and ask, how could people in sandals have dragged them? The answer is obvious. They couldn't have. Aliens did it. They either shared anti-gravity technology or personally supervised the construction while the pharaoh served them cold hibiscus tea. And some hieroglyphs, like the famous Dendera light bulb, are nothing more than technical documentation for a starship. If green men aren't to your liking, there's an alternative, a highly developed terrestrial civilization, for example, Atlantis. According to this version, survivors of a cataclysm, the Atlanteans, arrived in Egypt and built the Giza complex long before the first pharaohs. This theory elegantly ties together several other conspiracies. It uses the idea that the Sphinx is much older than commonly believed and the Orion correlation theory, which dates the Giza plan to 10,500 BC. The result is a powerful narrative. One hypothesis supports another, creating the illusion of irrefutable proof. Forget about tombs. The Great Pyramid was actually a gigantic machine, a wireless power plant that powered the entire civilization. This theory was proposed by engineer Christopher Dunn. He claimed that the granite chambers inside the pyramid conducted electricity. The quartz within them created a piezoelectric effect, and the shafts served as waveguides. The cracks in the beams and the strange holes in the walls are not defects, but part of a complex engineering system. The sarcophagus in the king's chamber is not a coffin, but a resonator. The Egyptians simply lost the user manual. This is one of the most beautiful theories. The layout of the three Great Pyramids at Giza is not accidental. It exactly mirrors the layout of the three stars in Orion's belt. Moreover, the theory's author, Robert Bauval, claimed that the perfect alignment between the terrestrial and celestial maps occurred around 10,500 BC. This pushes the date of the complex's design 8,000 years earlier than the official history, and serves as the main argument for the existence of a prehistoric super-civilization. However, the theory is silent on why the other pyramids and temples on the plateau do not fit into this star map. Official Egyptology states that the Sphinx was built around 2,500 BC during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre. But in the 90s, geologist Robert Schoch stated the nature of the erosion on the body of the Sphinx and the walls of its surrounding enclosure indicates exposure to heavy rainfall, not wind and sand. The last time such rains occurred in Egypt was thousands of years before Khafre. The conclusion: the Sphinx is much, much older. This discovery became the cornerstone for all theories about a lost civilization that predated the Egyptians. American mystic Edgar Cayce predicted that a secret room, the Hall of Records, is hidden beneath the right paw of the Sphinx. There, artifacts and texts from the Atlanteans are stored, containing all the wisdom of their civilization and the true history of humanity. This idea so captured the imagination that seismic surveys and even drilling have been repeatedly conducted around the Sphinx. Scientists did indeed find underground voids and anomalies, but these are just natural karst caves in the limestone. However, for proponents of the theory, any cavity found is further proof that Cayce was right. The most cinematic theory: open a tomb, expect trouble. The legend of the curse became world famous after the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. Within a few years of this event, several members of the expedition, including Lord Carnarvon, its sponsor, died under mysterious circumstances. Scientists explain this with toxic fungi and mold that accumulated in the sealed chambers over thousands of years. But the version about an ancient vengeful spirit, of course, sounds much more interesting and sells more movie tickets. This is a fundamental theory upon which many others are built. The main argument: no pharaonic mummies were found in any of the three Great Pyramids of Giza. The sarcophagus in the Pyramid of Khufu was empty. From this, it is concluded that their true purpose was different: an observatory, a center for initiation rituals, an energy device, or something else we cannot even guess. and the real tombs of the pharaohs are in the Valley of the Kings, and those are completely different structures. How did the Egyptians move the giant blocks? Some theories suggest the use of sound. Allegedly, priests possessed a secret technology that allowed them to neutralize gravity and make stones levitate using sound vibrations of a specific frequency. Another version states that sound was used for high-precision stone cutting. These ideas are often supported by references to legends about the magical abilities of priests and the amazing precision of the block fitting, between which a knife blade cannot be inserted. What if the blocks weren't dragged but cast in place? Chemist Joseph Davidovits proposed that the Egyptians created a type of ancient geopolymer concrete from limestone rubble, silt, and other components. They simply made wooden formwork in the desired location and poured this mixture into it. Such a technology would explain the enormous weight of the blocks, the perfect fitting, and the speed of construction. However, microscopic analysis of the pyramid stones mostly confirms their natural origin from quarries. This theory has its roots in the Middle Ages and is even mentioned in the Bible. According to it, the pyramids were built by the biblical Joseph to store grain during the 7 years of plenty before the 7 years of famine. The complex internal structure with corridors and chambers was supposedly ideal for ventilation and storing vast reserves of food. Although this theory is completely rejected by science today, it shows how long people have been trying to find a practical application for these grandiose and mysterious structures. In the temple of Seti I in Abydos, there are hieroglyphs that look exactly like a modern helicopter, a submarine, and an airplane. For supporters of paleocontact, this is direct proof that the ancient Egyptians either possessed high technology themselves or saw it with aliens. The explanation from Egyptologists is much more mundane. It is a palimpsest, a reused inscription. Originally, the titles of Pharaoh Seti I were carved there. Later, his son, Ramesses II, ordered the old hieroglyphs to be plastered over and his own carved on top. Over time, the plaster fell off and the two inscriptions overlapped, creating bizarre images in which our imagination sees familiar technology. In Egypt, artifacts made from super hard rocks like granite and diorite are found with perfectly smooth surfaces and marks resembling machine processing. For example, granite cores with spiral grooves that look as if they were left by a modern diamond drill. Official science claims that the Egyptians used copper saws and drills with an abrasive of quartz sand. But conspiracy theorists are convinced that such primitive tools could not provide such precision and speed of processing. They suggest that the Egyptians possessed some lost technology, possibly ultrasonic cutting, or something even more fantastic. For a long time, it was believed that the young pharaoh Tutankhamun was murdered. X-rays of his mummy taken in the 20th century showed a bone fragment in his skull, which gave rise to the theory of a blow to the head. However, a CT scan conducted in 2005 refuted this version. The scan revealed no signs of a fatal head injury. It did, however, show that shortly before his death, the pharaoh had suffered a severe open fracture of his left leg. Most likely, the wound became infected, which, combined with malaria, traces of which were also found, led to the death of the 19-year-old ruler. And ruled very successfully. However, after her death, her stepson, Thutmose III, ordered the destruction of almost all of her images and the erasure of her name from monuments. For a long time, this was explained as personal revenge by a humiliated stepson who was forced to remain in the shadow of his powerful stepmother for 22 years. But later research shows that Thutmose III began to destroy the memory of Hatshepsut only 20 years after her death. Most likely, it was not an act of revenge, but a cold political calculation, to erase the precedent of a successful female reign, to secure the throne for his own son, and prevent future claims to power by other women of the royal family.